welcome everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Bauer. I'm CEO of Docu. And together with Robert Hutter, I'm going to present to you the 10 commandments of business process automation. Robert, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So hello, my name's Robert. I'm founder and CEO of FireStart, and I'm very happy to join the webinar today to talk about basic commandments, principles about how you can better automate your business processes and achieve better quality in the outputs, the outcomes that you want to have. So we've been in the business for more than a decade right now, and I think there are some basic principles shaping out that are always like key points to address in every project. And I think today's webinar is really like summarizing these main points that you should have a focus on when you talk about generating documents, automating business processes that are important to have on the watch list.
Well, okay, thanks a lot for that. In case you do have any questions during the webinar, you can please type them in the questions panel. You will find it in the GoToWebinar panel. Robert and I am going to answer these questions, of course, but not during the webinar, as that would break the flow. But at the end of the webinar, we have a Q&A session, and we will answer these questions there. Okay, then I think we are good to go. Then let's go to the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments of business process automation. They are not brought down like the holy commandments from a hill, but still it took some time to collect them because these 10 commandments are derived from hundreds of projects of observing what our clients and partners are struggling with. And we tried to, as Robert said, to bring this together to a few principles you could bear in mind, and that, these are the 10 commandments. I read them to you. Thou shalt have one platform for business process management and document automation. Thou shalt use business process modeling notation to manage thy business processes. You see, this is Old English, so thou shalt is you should. Thou shalt not forget thy documents. Thou shalt not copy paste, and thou shalt integrate thy data. Honor thy business users. Thou shalt monitor thy processes. Thou shalt never stop to learn and improve. Thou shalt stay flexible and extensible. Thou shalt take one step after the other, and thou wilt not fail. Okay, we will explain these 10 commandments. During the webinar, we will make references to these commandments during presenting our platform. During the live demo, Robert and I have prepared an extensive live demo for you. And we will run through these 10 commandments at the end of the webinar and explain why these 10 points are so important. But now I would like to pass the word to Robert. Could you tell us something about your business process management platform, FireStart?
Thanks, sure, so basically, for those who don't know FireStart yet, we are an enterprise software company, and FireStart is a BPM platform that basically helps you in 3 main areas how to monitor, manage, and automate your business processes. So the first core topic is the whole management of modeling and publication of business processes, which is very essential to build a foundation of all your end-to-end business process knowledge. So this is more an organizational topic rather than a technical topic, that you have cross-organization, cross-application business processes that you need to involve, manage, and extend in the future. The second part of the platform is really bringing process models to workflow automation level. This means that you can really run your workflows on top of our platform, and we will take care of managing the tasks, managing notifications, and updates in between to your backbone applications. And the third and last lifecycle element that we offer with the platform is really like engaging the business process intelligence that you gather during automation, because then you really find your weak points in the process in terms of complexity, in terms of process costs, cycle times, and that gives you feedback, valuable feedback to close the loop in the governance to the next better version of your business process. And yeah, we've been building this platform for more than a decade right now. And I think in today's challenges that you have, all with reinventing your business processes from the core and also digitalization of your business processes, that platform can help you a lot in various topics, which we will explain later also during the live demo. And maybe just as a pre-glimpse from a look and feel perspective, if you can put to the next slide. This is basically, we try to bring the whole topic to a very visual approach. So because like, if you know the saying, a picture tells more than 1,000 words, that exactly applies to business process management. So explaining the logic, the rules, the activities in a visual way is a lot easier and better way to bring the knowledge to your users and also to build your application knowledge on top of it. And the basic idea is also to bring the whole IT management from a heavy code to a more kind of low code approach, which means that you have a better enablement of your business users being part of the whole engineering and of the automation strategy. And as we come from a very strategic Microsoft background, we work very closely in the Microsoft ecosystem with Microsoft directly, with partners in that regard. So we also try to apply the common Office look and feel principles in our suite so that business users are really happy and easy to find the way into the management. Yeah, that's FireStart. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Thanks a lot, Robert, for that. And that brings me to a short introduction into Docs42. You said something very crucial. It's about enabling business users. And Docs42 is doing exactly the same, because Docs42 template design is based on Microsoft Office. So this is where business users can work. Just a few facts about Docs42. We have about 300 customers, 80 partners. We're based in Vienna. And Docs42 is a tool for generating documents, which is obviously very necessary, because when you run and automate a process, at some point in this process, you want to create a document. It could be an offer, it could be an inspection report, it could be a contract, something like that. If you don't automate that, yes, you will lose a lot of options to control this process, to monitor this process, because there is a lot of manual work, copy pasting involved. We don't want that. Docs42 allows you to get rid of that. And Docs42 is used in actually every vertical, in every industry. You see a lot of reference customer logos down there. Why is it important to enable business users, as Robert said? Because business users, they have a very different expertise than IT. Yeah, Marketa Marketing here, for example, she has the knowledge about corporate design. And Bertrand, business user here, has the knowledge about the workflow. How is the business process? What content should be present in a document? So enabling these guys to design document templates and even design workflows, business processes, in a way they can do it, they can understand and they can read, is crucial. That puts them in the driver's seat and puts a lot of workload away from IT. Of course, you need IT. You always need system integration. You need performance. You need security. Yeah, you can't take that away. That's important to work with. But don't let IT do corporate design, and let your business users model, for example, the process. This is why one of the commandments is use business process notification, business process modeling notification, because Belgian business user is able to understand that. For the document template design, this is how it looks with Docs42. So Docs42 uses Microsoft Office. We will see that in the live demo in a more extensive way, but just to give you a short overview of the look and feel, on the left side, this is a Word document, and this is also a Docs42 template, and you can generate a document out from that. including data from various systems in various ways, like of course text, but also tables, calculations, images, diagrams, barcodes, whole text modules, whatever you need, and you can connect to any data source. This is true for Docs42, and this is true for FireStart as well. So of course databases, web services, Excel, SharePoint, in the cloud, on-prem, all kind of XML, JSON web services, SAP, and then the whole Microsoft Dynamics stacks. Dynamics customer engagement, this is Dynamics finance operation, this is Business Central, and also this the old systems on-prem. Okay, now this is the overall platform architecture, and at that point, Robert, I would like to pass the word again to you. Could you explain a bit what is the basic idea of this platform architecture?
Sure. So basically, this also reflects like the first commandment or principle, how we would put it in place. That when you think about automation, when you think about output management, document generation, these are topics that you should implement in a platform strategy. What I mean with that you should not put it on top of your line of business application, because running a workflow is a cross-application topic. Generating output documents is a cross-application topic. It's the same case with topics like business intelligence. Yeah, so this is not something bound to one application, but business intelligence is something that you want to have across applications. And therefore, when you think about these two topics, business process automation and document automation, FireStart and Docs42 really try to apply this platform strategy. This means on the one hand, you get a better and clearer IT architecture, because either if you think about output documents, either you learn all the different ways how to generate documents in every application, and then you need also to maintain all of these different facts and flavors in that applications. And the same applies to workflows. Either you bind your workflows within your applications, and then you end up with 10 different styles how you build workflows, but you really cannot connect them, or you build one platform strategy above the application strategy. And that is also something that you can easily connect with your collaboration content management strategy. This is where we also see a lot of platforms like SharePoint, Office 365 in place, that you have a common touch point for users to collaborate, to share information. And with that platform approach, FireStart and Docs42 also try to have the same platform effect for the whole organization. And I mean, that makes it very flexible for you to adopt. Yeah? So you have one central touch point for adoption. And this is also with the topic, do not copy and paste, yeah, which is also a core topic. You should have one single point of contact where you change your template, where you change your workflow, and you don't need to copy your template 1,000 times or copy your workflow 1,000 times. So the less you have copy and paste in place, the more you have central touch points, the easier it is to bring in a managed lifecycle and a flexible approach to change. And that's all about. It's about change. In the end, being flexible to adopt for the future, because nobody knows what's happening tomorrow. Yeah, maybe we have a satellite crashing somewhere in London, and what effect will that have on the business? Nobody knows, but you can just keep yourself flexible to quickly adapt to new circumstances that you have no idea about today. This is the whole idea of this platform approach to bring in.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. So this was some kind of hardcore Brexit scenario.
Yeah, I mean, it's not about Brexit. This is just like things happen day by day that you have no clue about the day before. So in the past, you had the luxury, let's put it that way, that you have a longer lifespan to adapt to new circumstances. But this lifespan is getting shorter and shorter. And this is not because we want to have it shorter, but because the market pressure brings it to a shorter time. And in the end, it's about being either competitive in that way and adapt to new requirements, or if you're the last one to be able to adapt to new requirements, then you might also be the one failing in the end. Yeah? That's a matter of fact.
Yeah. This is brings to my mind the idea that the one thing is that the market is changing. On the other sense, there are, on the other side, there are also legal requirements that pop up. It could pop up quite quickly. We have one of our customers, an insurance company, who had troubles with the Financial Marketing Authority because they said, okay, you need to provide your customers with a certain way of information, and they could do that within days because they were using Docs42, so they could adopt very quickly, and that sorted out their problem. So this is also important for companies to being able to adapt quickly to legal changes as well, legal requirements. So, and yeah, FireStart and Docs42 is offering a kind of Lego Technic set to build your business processes, your document automation. By the way, I need to say that Docs42 and FireStart itself are not bound together, so they can be used separately, of course. You can use FireStart. You don't have to use Docs42 if you use FireStart, and you don't have to use FireStart if you use Docs42. You can. Yeah? Okay, then I would say we go to the live demo, Robert. Okay.
Sounds good.
Great. Then let's go. Live demo. Okay. I'm going to start with that, and I'm going to take you to Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement. This is the CRM system of mine, and what you see here is a quote. So I've created a quote here. I'm going to sell to a company solar panels and panel holder and a battery. So it's basically a solar power thing that you can put on the roof of your house, and I created this quote for that in my CRM system. Yeah, and then I can generate a document from that. So this is the way you would integrate Docs42 with a CRM system. You can do that with any other system. You can do that with SharePoint. You can do that with any ERP system, with SAP, even with Salesforce. You can do whatever you want, okay? But this is one way to do it. And I want to preview that. I generated for you before, so here we go. Okay, you see that the products are already here, okay? Automatically generated, but there is a bit more. There is some text and a nice image and so on, so that makes it attractive for the customer who receives this quote. And there is, of course, the address data and stuff like that you will always have in a document. And then there is even more. There is a table of the installation and so on, so of the services provided along. And there is even a little PowerPoint presentation showing the connection plan. So this is obviously information that is not present in the CRM system. Where does this information come from? We created in SharePoint a little library where we keep modules, simple Office documents that are bound together with a quote number to this quote. Yeah, and here we got, for example, this nice description as a Word document. Okay, you've seen that in the quote, it's exactly the same thing. So this Word document is integrated automatically within this quote. Then if we go down to this quote, we see the table for the services offered alongside. Here we go. This is this data from a Microsoft Excel. So we have dynamically read data from an Excel and integrated in the Word document. And then we go along and we see this presentation. Yeah, and it's a PowerPoint presentation. Here we go. Okay. So we can create automatically in a very quick and easy way a quote from Microsoft Dynamics data, SharePoint data, documents kept in a SharePoint document library. You don't have to copy paste here, okay? We are absolutely in line with our commandment, thou shalt not copy paste, thou shalt integrate thy data. We do that, okay? If we change that here and we click on generate again, it's immediately done. We can save this PDF to SharePoint, of course. We can do a craft email. So this is also a very nice way to create a draft email for our panel to send it off to the customer. We could do that immediate as well, and you could do it from a workflow as well. Robert will show you that. Okay, but before that, I will step to the. I will show you how the template design is done in Microsoft Word. So this is the template for this quote. You see blue fields here. These blue fields are connected to data fields from Docs42. So okay. So if you click on one of these data fields, you see where it comes from. Okay, this is organization's name here, organization's address line 1, and so on. Okay, so this is the address block. Here's the table, the product table. We can put that maybe side by side today, so you can compare these tables here. Okay. So this is something a business user can design, because this is not hard to do. If you want to change something here, this is just Microsoft Word. Yeah, you have all the formatting options of Microsoft Word here. That, yeah, and extend it. Here is our services table. Okay, so it's not a complicated thing. How do you connect to the data? With Docs42, you have a so-called data map designer. I'll open that for you. And here you can design your data sources. So to connect to CRM, we create a connection here. We could do that with as an Active Directory integration, impersonated, but we can just use a service user as well. We can define we want to read the quote data. In that case, we can read any entity. We can filter that. We can test this data source here and say, okay, there's another quote to get FireStart licenses here. Nice. So that's very easy to do. Same is true for SharePoint, Excel, and a lot more. You can connect to SAP here, to Finance and Operation, to Business Central, to databases, and so on and so on. Okay. So as soon as you've set up your data connections, you can start drag and dropping data fields into your document, or defining automated ranges with conditions, repetitions, and so on. So this is the way you would automate a range with a condition, and you can repeat it. So you can create, for example, this table here. You want to have it for each and every product. Okay, short overview of Docs42. Meanwhile, this mail was generated, so I opened that one. You remember I clicked on that a minute before. So where's my mail? Outlook speaking to me or not? Okay. Okay, this mail was also generated dynamically to Michaela Mitarbeiter, and the quote is attached here. So I can just edit this mail, la 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 la, and just send it to her. Okay, I don't do that now because I don't want to disturb Michaela. Well, that was a short overview of document automation, in that case from Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement. Now, the next question is, you have seen that there is a lot of modules integrated in this quote, like the Word document, the Solo presentation, and the Excel project plan. Yeah, different people had to work on that. So it would be a good idea to coordinate that, how these people are working, till which they need to deliver the information, remind them if they don't do that, escalate to their manager if they're, for example, if they're on leave. Yeah? So it's a good idea to manage that in a defined way. And so yes, this is a business process. Yeah, when it comes to business processes, I would like to hand over to Robert, to you, and show us how we should do that with business processes.
Sure.
Okay, so
Perfect.
yeah, I switch over the screen to you.
Very good.
Wonderful. We see your screen.
My screen. Very good. Very good.
Fire away.
So what we've now seen is like how you connect your Docs42 documents to data sources and really generate high quality documents by reusing the data that is already in your backbone systems. What I want to show you right now is how you can do the whole logic on the business process side with FireStart, also connect to the backbone systems and run and schedule the tasks around it. And I also want to maybe go through the demo in regard to the 10 commandments that we have made. And first I want to start with you should use business process model and notation to manage your business processes. Maybe in that regard, it's very important. There is a worldwide standard available, which is business process management and notation. And this is, when you design business processes, very important that you speak the same language with other people that are involved in the whole business process design. So here, when you would start outlining your process landscapes with the core processes, the core metadata, then you would drill down into more detailed process structures, and then you would end up on the detailed level of a business process. And when you define these artifacts, like what are the starting points, what are the action during the execution, what are the rules, it's important that the classification of these artifacts are standardized. And in that regard, the standardization comes from the BPMN notation. So it defines what is a manual task, what is a scripting task, what is a business rule task. There are clear elements how you specify and define these elements. And by applying the standard, you speak the same language with other users that are designing these business processes. Because this is like if you don't follow the alphabet, yeah, and you have two different alphabets, then you will not be able to form the same sentence and generate the same understanding. And this is why BPMN, besides other views and notations, is crucial to keep a common language, build a common language around the business process design. When you go on and build your business process, you want to later build the automation logic on top of it. And here you would go and extend the business process model for automated activities, and also you would want to connect your backbone systems. By doing that, there's a central data model available. The same with Docs42, you have a central touch point where you build the data structures, and on top of this logical data structure, you build your connectivity to your backbone, ERP, CRM, and whatever applications that you want to have in your backbone systems. And this is especially important to the topic of do not copy and paste. Yeah? Because a lot of things go wrong when you just copy data out of your backbone systems and have them duplicated 100 times. You will not have a data quality, you will not have a central touch point for the truth of your data. And this is what we do here. We do not copy data, but we really reuse the data that is already in our backbone systems and reuse them in a dynamic way to build the rules to automate the activities in our business process. And to really do that, it's like Christian said, there are Lego pieces available. So every automation step can be encapsulated in a certain activity. So if we would now send out a personalized email, you can easily have a wizard where you can visually configure the logic, how this email should look like, which data from your CRM systems, other applications you want to incorporate into the message of your email body, for example. And this is also applies very much to the sixth principle, honor your business users. Because this is, on the one hand, give them a tool at hand where they can actively design the business process. They are in the driver's seat to define the message of the email that is sent out at the end of the workflow. They don't need to code that. They can go in there, change the email message, save it. The next time the workflow runs, you will have an updated message going out on the business process side. On the other hand, you see business process can have complexity. A lot of rules, gateways, where I need to define what are the rules that need to be applied to execute this business process in the right way. And therefore, you should not confront your business users with all of the business process complexity, but you should make it very easy for them to participate in the business process. And therefore, when we have human tasks, so whenever along the offer management process, we need to have approval, we maybe need to have additional discounts, whatever, we try to make the touch point for the end user in the business process as easy as possible. So we really gather all the information from the backbone systems to have a central touch point for the users in these tasks to the backbone application data, and really work along the business process to deliver the result in the end. And the result in the end might be a purchase order in your backbone system, might be the Docs42 document that we have created before. Like here, when we do a little handover to Docs42 with different parameters, we grab a template from the Docs42 server, we fill it out and insert all the data that is relevant in this business process. It's all model driven, it's all modeled by design, so that you hardly need to code anything to get the logic that you want to have in place for your business. And then when you actually run a business process, you need to connect it with certain events. So every entry point into the business process is a certain event that you want to have. So that event can be either somebody actually pushing a start button in some application, like you have seen in Christian's demo. Like when he is finished with the quote design, he could start off the approval process for this quote. And then Dynamics 365 would do the handover to FireStart to kick off the workflow and do the approval process, for example. Or it can also be part of the end part of the business process, where we gather information before we actually can generate a document out of Docs42 in that regard. And in that regard, it's also very important to be flexible and extendable, because we never know what kind of systems we want to interact tomorrow. Maybe there's a new cool cloud application popping up that you want to integrate, that you're really flexible, like here, bring in new Lego pieces and puzzles to go for Dropbox, for example, or any other kind of application that you might want to use tomorrow in your daily business processes. And this is what also FireStart provides, a very flexible, extensible platform where you can easily bring in new activities, new connectivity to your business processes. And then it's important, then you run a business process and you should take one step after the other. And that's especially the core topic of business processes, because each step has a certain implication about a decision making, about a data update. So when you run a workflow later, it's important that FireStart takes care of all the monitoring, that the steps are taken in the right order, and the users that are integrated into this business process can, as easy as possible, participate. And this is what I mean when we send out a task for an end user, make this information available in the systems that they are already familiar with. So here we send out a task to some of our skilled workers. Our skilled workers is a reusable organizational model. We do not hard code to specific users, but we build the logic on top of roles where you can easily exchange business users. So if I would need 10 more skilled workers tomorrow because we have a heavy load, then I would just go there, add 10 more people, and maybe can double the circle time of my business process by just bringing in more resources. And in Outlook, it would look in the end something like this. So they would get their task in the same environment where they would check the emails and other things. And then they would really get all the relevant business application data associated with the task. So here, for example, we don't need to know which kind of CRM applications we have in place, because we just need to have the location of this customer. or we don't need to know which ticketing system we use. We just need to know the problem that we have. What we need to maybe also interact with data. We might need to use, select a spare part for the specific offer that we want to incorporate. Then we need to look up data from our ERP systems like that. So the whole idea of business process alignment is really have a touch point as easy as possible for the end user, but do not copy and paste all the data, but everything that you do here is also reflected in the backbone system as soon as the task is done. So once I have edited my data here, I made my decision. In that case, for example, I did now the approval for a specific ordering process. And then we can really go back into the business process management suite. We can monitor all of the status of all the running business processes. And then we can really run the process as designed, so that we now have a rule in place which says, okay, we now need to calculate the total of the offering. We might need to have an additional approval on top of a certain amount. In that case, we will now want to directly book a purchase order into our SAP backbone system, and then we generate a SAP purchase order number. We would update Dynamics 365. We would generate an output PDF with Docs42, and we would send it out with a personalized email to the user that we want to send the notification to. So we just wait for a second to have this process finished. And this is the cool thing. It brings in the whole transparently what's going on in the backbone systems. Imagine your daily operations determined on the size of your organization, how many thousands of workflows you have on a daily basis, and who keeps a central track on the transparency of what's going on in the company. Yeah? And this is what FireStart does in the end. It helps you bring the processes to the defined end, but also incorporate every application, every user along the way. And here now we see the end result with the email, and here we also have now the generated document with Docs42, where we brought all the information in from the backbone system with the price, the product name, and other information that is relevant, the SAP purchase order number, things like that. So this is where workflow automation, document output is a crucial topic to satisfy the need, because at the end you need to have some sort of digital asset that you want to send out to your users, and in many cases it's a document that serves this purpose. And yeah, so monitoring our business processes also, as Christian said, becomes more and more important also due to regulatory requirements, because in some business branches you cannot afford not to know what's going on in the business processes. If you think in banking, finance, you might earn a high use if you're not in control of your business processes and bring transparency on top of it. And it's important also to see the whole topic not as a one-time project. So it's not like we build the document one time and then it is for the next 10 years, or we build the workflow one time and then it's for the next 10 years. It's always flexible to get better, to improve, and also get feedback from the users. Yeah, like when you're back in the application and you schedule a task, that it's always easy to give feedback when you find out a weak point in the business process. Yeah? Like here, say, okay, there's something missing. I can immediately go and give feedback. And it's not a shame that the process is not perfect, but it's good that you find the weak points and later can improve, and also reflect the feedback later on the business process management side. Then all the feedback you can gather along the business process and say, okay, this is cool, and then I really go with the next issues that we have. Here we have some issues, maybe we need to tackle that in a better way. So these are really like build for change, build for adoption, be flexible along the way, and also tailorize the whole logic to really specific steps. Because at the end, the users, the systems will work in steps, and you need to define which step comes after the other. Yeah, that's so far from my side.
Okay, great, Robert. Thanks for that. So then, Okay. And we are going to wrap it up a bit and run you through the 10 commandments. I want to remind you that in case you do have questions, please type them in the questions panel. Robin and I, we will go through these questions and answer them in a few minutes. Okay, here the 10 commandments again and the how and why. Thou shalt have one platform for business process management and document automation. I mean, it's obvious if you run afoul of this commandment, you have, for example, no platform. If you have no platform, you cannot manage your business process. That's a no-brainer, okay? That means that you have to run your process completely manually. No management, no control, no digitalization. If you have a lot of platforms, have fun with management of them, okay? So the best way is to have one platform for both tasks. Thou shalt use BPMN to manage thy business processes. Robert, would you elaborate on that?
As I said, we work with many organizations, and we really see that as a heavily wide range adopted standard to be incorporated. And it also is important, for example, if you want to exchange business process knowledge with other organizations, because if you can import them on a BPMN format, any other organization can send me these files and I can incorporate them into my business process strategy. So we see a lot of other vendors on the market that have defined their own notations and things like that, but then it's a vendor login. Yeah, if you decide later to move on to another platform, you may mostly have to rebuild everything from scratch because you haven't followed a standard in that regard. And this is something that I can really recommend. If you go for a larger strategy approach, use the BPMN standard to define the business process logic.
Yeah, perfect. And this is a similar thought is why Docs42 is using Microsoft Office for template design, because this is more or less a standard how you create documents. So you can exchange that, everybody understands it. Yeah, and thou shalt not forget thy documents, because if you run a business process, at some point in it, you want to create a document. If you do that manually, which in many organizations is the case. If you don't believe me, walk into your HR department, ask them how they do employee contracts. And if you still don't believe me, talk to your senior sales guys how they create their complex offers. Then you lose the option to really monitor your process, because there is a large point of it, a crucial point of it, that is done manually. And you cannot control it, because if a manual created document is changed and in a way that does not reflect data into your core system, you have to control about it. So don't forget that. Thou shalt not copy paste. Thou shalt integrate thy data, making sure that the relevant data is present in your core system and not in some copy pasted document.
Yeah. I mean, the copy paste also, for example, applies very much to workflow structures. Yeah, because you build more advanced workflows, you will build them on your core workflow routines. So again, there's an architecture where you should not just copy and paste workflow routines, but really build reusable workflow structures that you can incorporate into more advanced business processes. So again, it all in the beginning, it might be that the cheaper and easier way to just copy paste, but it really, like, in the long run, you end up in just a heavy management burden because you lose the whole management control around it. So the sooner you start reusing things, the easier it will be to keep this platform evolving and flexible in adoption.
Yeah, and flexibility is also the reason why you should honor thy business users, because business user, they know best about how the process has to be executed and which content needs to be in a document and how corporate design of your company looks like. This is normally not the core competency of your IT department. So bringing business users in so that they can do their work and work with their expertises, yeah, that makes you extremely flexible.
Yeah, and it's also a matter of resources. Yeah, so if you look at it, it's always like this big battle of business users against IT, and not together. Yeah? And therefore, if you look at the resource allocation, the bottleneck is the IT. Yeah. So if you can bring in more capabilities from the business users to actually build the structures, then you will have a relief on the IT side, which is already a bottleneck, and it will be more and more bottleneck of the future. So having this platform strategy in place where the whole empowerment of the business users is managed in a professional way also generates a lot of additional resources at the company that you can bring into this whole engineering life cycle. And it's about, in the end, aligning business user IT to the business users and not the other way around. And this is also a principle that we've seen in the past very often, that users should adapt to the system. And our platform has the other way around. So systems should align to the requirements of the users in the business processes. So really start from the business process side. What are the core tasks that you need to fulfill? And in the second part, try to align which systems can help to generate the results that you want to have.
Makes somehow sense. Huh? Business users are running the business, so they are earning the money.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that seem to be there are a lot of things that seems to be obvious, but in practice, it's always like the most important things that you forget very quickly. That these are the important things how you should start.
Yeah, that's too true. Yeah. Okay. However, business users are earning the money that the companies run for is paid for, and IT is paid for as well. Okay. Thou shalt monitor thy processes.
Yeah.
Robert, why should you do that?
Yeah, because you need to make sure that the process comes to an end, yeah? And it's not stopped anywhere in the middle where you don't want to have it stopped. And this is exactly the mess that you have today with emails and Excel sheets and things like that. As soon as it's out of your inbox, you completely lose control of the process. Yeah, and the active monitoring about which actions are taking. Did we reach the end in the business process? Which rules did we apply in the business process? If you can monitor that, like I've shown you before, like you monitor your email box today, that you have a central touch point to go in and look at your workflows and see what they do and where they are, that brings a lot of self-service transparency. And I think this whole self-service approach is very important, because like if I'm a part in a 1,000 people organization and I was part in the process 3 weeks ago, and then I want to find out where this process has gone, I would probably ping 500 people to find out where the process has gone. And that is not just an unnecessary overhead with no value in it, but it also keeps other people from doing the work properly. So bringing transparency with monitoring, we have the monitoring, reduces a lot of communication overhead. And if you calculate that with your manpower resources, then you will see how much costs you just waste by intransparency in your processes.
Yeah, and thou shalt never stop to learn and improve. And it means you need to have flexible tools in place to do that. If you hard code anything, then it's you can still learn but not improve, because it's expensive to change that.
Yeah, and structures will never be perfect, but it's always better to have a 0.4 version of a process in place than non-process in place. Yeah. So you should always think of not reach for the perfect result in the first run, but really go in a steady but consistent approach to learn, improve, and also be open to reflect changes. Yeah. So if something is not perfect, it's not a problem. It's just like being aware of it is important, and having a very lightweight approach to improve it is important. And once this lightweight approach is visible for all of the users, you will have no resistance in change, but more adoption to change.
So life is a journey, yeah? And that's
Yeah.
also true for business life. Huh?
I mean, it's a human nature that we are resistant to change, yeah. Because if we are in a comfort zone, okay, nobody wants to change proactively. Yeah, why? But then, if you have to change, how easy it is to change, and we try to make it as easy as possible.
Yeah. And there's the next one. Thou shalt stay flexible and extensible. And to do that, you need to have the right tools that allows for that. Because you might be forced to change and extend your business processes by legal changes, by chances on the market. There are a lot of drivers of your business, and if you have the option to approach your business in an agile way, this grants you a lot of flexibility and at the end success. And to go there, we would recommend to do that in an agile way. So thou shalt take one step after the other, and thou wilt not fail. So
yeah,
as Robert said, just try to bring one the first process in place and run it, and you have a return on investment at that immediately, and then you can take the next step and the next step and the next step.
Exactly. So this is also a big recommendation from my side. Really, process by process, document by document. Do not do 100 documents at once, but really learn along the journey and make sure that every step is consistent and a foundation for the next step. And I think that's the core vision that you need to keep in mind when building this platform approach for the company.
I mean, the opposite approach would be the big bang and do everything at one step. Yeah, this is an old approach, and we have seen actually customers telling us, "Oh, we cannot introduce Docs 42 because we would have to change 500 document templates, and this is such a big effort, we cannot afford that." Our answer is always, don't do it. Yeah? Just don't change 500 document templates. Start with the one you have the biggest need. Then you have an immediate return on investment, and then you change the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one. And if you find out that you don't want to change 300 documents because they are not important, you leave it with the old ways. Yeah? You can't take one step after the other.
Yeah, I think this like big bang approach came a lot with the classic ERP implementation cycles, because there was always like, oh, we now have a 3-year rollout of the new ERP system, and I think that this is a luxury you won't have in the future, not from a resource perspective, not from a timing perspective, not from a complexity perspective. So really like quick changes, but consistent changes along the way, and being flexible to move along the way. And if after 1 year you find out that you need to completely rework one process, then start with that one process from scratch. But it's like aiming for the 100% perfect system, but having a 3 years time spent between before you can use it will not generate the ROI, because what will happen in 3 years, you will have a completely different situation that you have planned for 3 years ago. And therefore then probably, actually we had that case with a customer that at the end of the planning, he found out that the market had completely changed 100%, and then he completely rebuilt the processes to the starting point the next 3 years. And it's a losing game on the top, but really like specific process needs implemented quickly will generate better outcomes for your organization.
Yes, completely agree with you. Now, it's time for you. Robert and I have wrapped it up. We go to the Q&A session. That means, please, you can type in your questions in the questions panel in the GoToWebinar panel, and Robert and I will run through them. And here's the first question. Is FireStart and Docs 42 capable of connecting to ERP systems like SAP, Salesforce, etc.? Robert.
Yeah, completely supported from our side. So we also bring that connectivity with the standard server installation. So we can connect to Salesforce, we can connect to SAP, we can connect to Navision, Dynamics 365. So we already have pre-built connectivity for this kind of integrations.
So same here with Docs42. Docs42 has a wonderful connector to SAP. For Salesforce, we found out that we don't need a connector because our XML JSON web service data source was already capable of connecting to the API of Salesforce. So we just produced the documentation how to do that. Okay, any more questions? There's one more popping up. Okay, what's the advantage of FireStart against Nintex K2? Robert, that goes directly to you.
Sure. Yeah, so I mean, Nintex K2 are prominent tool sets in the workflow space. So like Nintex became very popular being an add-on to SharePoint for workflow management. I think this is a differentiation between being a workflow add-on for SharePoint than rather being an independent BPM platform. So one of the key areas that we bring is the whole business process management capabilities, and that we also have a lot more structures for reusing artifacts like data models, like organizational models. So the whole architecture, I would say, is in a broader reach than like an add-on approach to SharePoint. K2 is also a very prominent and good tool set in the market, but K2 is more like a tool set for building applications. So you would either build isolated applications rather than building integrated transactional business workflows in between. So it would be very easy also to combine this approach. So you could build SharePoint workflows with Nintex, hook them up with more advanced business processes in FireStart, and integrate apps that you have built with K2. So I wouldn't see a conflict in that strategy.
Okay, let's see. There's one more question. I think this is also for you, Robert. What's the difference between FireStart and robotic process RPA, robotic process automation?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that's also a term that was popping up in the last few months as a very buzzword in the market. So RPA is mainly a technology that you use when you automate on an end user level. So like when you do mainly screen automation. Yeah. So what we've seen in the demo, go to the application A, click on that button, download a document, move it to a file share. If you have repeating tasks that you do on an end user level, then you could build robots for doing these tasks instead of your manual tasks. So that would also be an outbreak to business process management. So when we send out activities, we either hand out tasks to users, or we could also hand out tasks to robots, but they would act as the same participant as an end user. So they will not lead the process, they will be a participant in the process. And this is the same way how we could incorporate robotic process automation into a broader business process automation strategy.
Great. Yeah, that reminds me, my daughter had recently built an RPA bot to register her to a university course.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it always get mixed up with workflow management. So also here, be very cautious. Robotic process automation is a completely different technology and tool set than business process and workflow automation. Yeah, so they work really good together in a strategy, but tackling the problem from a very different touch point.
So, wonderful. So, any more questions? I think we have answered everything. So, in case you do have more questions, just get in touch with us. You find it on LinkedIn, on Xing, whatever you want, or just we have contact forms on our web pages, firestart.com, docs42.com. Get in touch, ask your questions. We will be happy to help you. Okay, then, Robert, final last words closing this webinar from your side.
Yeah, it was a great pleasure today joining the webinar. I hope we could give some more insights about building an automation strategy for business processes and documents for a organization. And again, be happy to connect with us and send in additional questions if you have them. Then looking forward to the next meeting somewhere on an event or webinar.
Wonderful. Also, same from my side. Thanks a lot for staying with us. Yeah, and have a great day. Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Take care.